Hi, this is Dan Devlin for the Detective Dan Devlin Show, Honorable People, Honorable Nation. Welcome to our show. I hope you've been watching, and if you have, you probably know we try to stress we cannot have an honorable nation if we're not honorable people. Today's program is titled President Trump versus the Democrats. An equally interesting topic and title would be, who are the true patriots? And by the time we finish this program, you hopefully will look at the situation differently. And I want to speak probably more than to conservatives. I want the Democrats to listen to what I have to say. You know, you're very important in this process that we call the operation of the United States of America. And it calls for honorable people to do honorable things. And to be honorable, you have to look for the truth and pursue that truth and act honorably according to that truth. We've been advised that President Trump has been impeached by the House of Representatives. And the truth is, if you believe that he actually was impeached, that's one thing, and I'll cover that in a minute. But it wasn't by the House of Representatives. It was by the Democrats from the House of Representatives. Not one Republican vote for impeachment was cast, which means that only Democrats voted to impeach the President of the United States, which most people know is aligned with the Republicans. This is not good for our country, and you folks have the ability to weigh in on this, because I remind you that it's your country. What you allow your representatives to do, they do because of you. And if you would stand up and you would object to certain behavior, especially when it is, in my opinion, unconstitutional, and certainly irresponsible, and absolutely not honorable, then perhaps they would listen to you. They're not really interested in listening to you and doing what's actually going to benefit you. And I may be able to touch on that later. I've touched on it in other programs as well. But I want to go through what happened here. And just the briefest of rundowns, I want to explain why this is all happening. This is all over a telephone call, for the most part, that President Trump made to the president of Ukraine. And during that conversation, he was stressing the importance of working on the things that were going on in his country that were labeled as corrupt behavior on the part of their officials and others in Ukraine. But he also mentioned that we as a country were going through some tough times, and the exposure of that corruption in the Ukraine would benefit the United States. Now, whether or not he mentioned the name Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, I believe is somewhat irrelevant. And I want to draw a particular scenario. First of all, I want to say that The President of the United States is bound by the Constitution. And the Constitution indicates that he is responsible for ensuring that the laws are faithfully executed. Under the previous administration, of which Joe Biden was a vice president, Joe Biden, whose son had taken a job for a company called Burisma, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, from the Ukraine. It was an oil company. Joe Biden admits, and Hunter Biden admits, that Hunter Biden had no particular expertise in the oil industry. And I believe that he's indicated that he didn't even really know why he was hired. But he was hired at an astronomical wage, or fee if you don't want to call it a wage. But figures from $50,000 to $80,000 a month have been thrown around. I can't tell you what it really was. But the problem was that President Trump, I'll say suspected, and likely knew what had happened in the 2016 election. And we know, or at least we're told, that individuals from Russia were involved in having information put out that some people think affected the election. The fact is that many countries try to interfere in our election. Was there any conspiracy or encouraging on the part of Donald Trump in order to have the Russians interfere in the election? I can tell you one thing. President Trump, then candidate Trump, has been on the record, and I'll correct that, whether he was a candidate or president when he said this, we would have to look up. But he mentioned to Russia that if they had information on Hillary Clinton's server, that they should divulge that. You know, if you've listened to me, the truth is the most important thing. And I want you to know that President Trump, or then candidate Trump, was not asking for interference in the election as much as he was asking for the truth that eventually might affect the election. Our question is, do you want the truth, or would you rather have it concealed? Mr. Trump, to my knowledge, never asked anyone to do anything illegal. Whether it's another country or it's people in our country, we have an obligation to seek the truth and to reveal that truth and act according to that truth. But we have people on the other side, the Democrats, who don't believe in the truth. They believe in manipulating the truth, changing the truth, and outright lying. And I'll remind people who have been paying attention that we had a situation where Harry Reid, a Democrat, actually told lies about Mitt Romney when he was running for president in order to try to sway people and have them not vote for Mitt Romney. He told a lie about his taxes, about Mitt Romney's taxes. And we know this because in an interview with one of the commentators, reporters from one of the networks, They asked Harry Reid about this, and they called him and really revealed that, of course, it was a lie, and he knew it. And he chuckled. He had the audacity to chuckle and say, well, it worked, didn't it? And that is their mindset. It doesn't matter whether anything's the truth. They're not seekers of the truth. They will do or say whatever it takes in order to win. They also use the tactic of dividing and conquering. So pay attention, because when information comes out from them, they will state it as fact. And I'll use an example. In some of the hearings, when they had statements made to the media, they continually repeated this lie, or at the very minimum, their slanted view of Donald Trump, saying that he had that conversation with the president of Ukraine to dig up dirt on his political opponent, who was Joe Biden. People do things for many reasons. The Democrats are saying, see, Donald Trump benefited from that, or would have benefited from having that information, examining this possible corruption of which Biden may have been involved. And so therefore, he never should have pursued that. The pursuit of the truth, if we are punished, if we're lied about, persecuted, prosecuted, whatever you want, if we have to be exposed to that when we seek the truth, we're in a disastrous situation as a nation. But that has been the case. Even in the hearings about the impeachment, the Democrats, continually invoked the Constitution as if they really cared about it. I'm doing it because I want people who are supporting Democrats. You may even label yourself as a Democrat, and you vote Democrat. I want you in particular, and all the people who are saying, oh, President Trump did such a bad thing. I want you to ask yourself, if you had the responsibility to ensure that the laws are faithfully executed, and you know that the last administration wouldn't do that, in violation of that previous president's oath of office, you're aware of that. You're aware of the lies that were told about you in the last election. You know that the Democrats are so unprincipled and dishonest that even in the 2016 election, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who headed the DNC, she collaborated with others, conspired with others, illegally so, to make sure that a candidate that was seeking that endorsement from the Democrats, Bernie Sanders, would not be able to win that endorsement, and Hillary Clinton would be the candidate. She and others decided that Clinton was going to be the candidate regardless of what the people said. And when they can't even be loyal to their own people and their own process, you really think they're going to be loyal to you? I've made the case before that the Democrats want to give you things, because by giving you things, they can control you. Whereas Republicans want to give you the opportunity to be independent, to do things for yourself, to earn a living wage, to be able to take those steps up the economic ladder, which many people have done, and under the Trump administration, many more people are being given the opportunity to get out of that low economic situation and have the hope and be able to work for a better and better life for themselves and their children and grandchildren, also known as their posterity, their born descendants, as well as their yet to be born descendants, such as maybe their grandchildren or their great-grandchildren. Your posterity is all of your descendants. You can have born posterity and you can have yet to be born posterity. But they're all your posterity, and they're all covered by the United States Constitution. But the Democrats don't care about those things. They decide what they want to do, whether it's constitutional, whether it's legal or not. They'll do whatever it takes. So that process, that phone call, we have to ask ourselves the question, what if he didn't make that call? And what if he didn't say the things that he said? What if he was not interested in limiting the corruption, including the situation where Joe Biden, and he's on record, and we're going to play that, he's on record saying and admitting that he threatened those from Ukraine who were investigating the Burisma situation, which involved his son, Hunter Biden. And he admits that he threatened to withhold aid that was due them if they did not fire a prosecutor that was doing that investigation.
They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
Now, if President Trump is being impeached for saying what he said, and there are people who said, well, I don't like what he said. I don't care if you like it or not. There's nothing illegal with what he said, and he had an obligation to pursue the truth. Had he asked them to do something wrong and do something that was not truthful, that's another situation. But the reality is that the things that he was asking for, and he asked for it in the form of a favor, for them to pursue corruption within their country, including the situation that involved Joe Biden and his son, Hunter Biden. Now, the Democrats don't want you to deal with that. And they don't want to have now who they project will be their presidential candidate for the Democrats, Mr. Biden. They're not interested in whether he did anything wrong. But President Trump was not only interested for his own purposes, which I believe, and he has spoken to, is about dealing with all the corruption in the Ukraine. And the Biden situation, that was only part of that. Would that benefit him if it was revealed that the Bidens had done something wrong? Wouldn't that be important for you to know if you were going to vote for a presidential candidate? See, seeking the truth for people who are liars is not a popular thing. And they will use those lies. They'll do anything they can. And we all know that from before the time President Trump took office, the Democrats said that they were going to impeach him. They didn't care about for what. And it's been suggested they're going to do it time and time again. So get ready, because they're going to continue this pursuit. They think that you're stupid. And I have to admit, if you just listen to them and you act the way they want you to act, they might be right. But I don't think you're that stupid individual that they think you are. I believe you're smarter than that. I think you can put 2 and 2 together and get the correct answer. But you have to have a heart that wants the truth. You have to want to be an honorable person, which we care an awful lot about. Because that's who we want to guide this nation into the future. Many politicians don't like Mr. Trump because he's not a, quote, politician, or wasn't until he started running for office, for president. And people in the system, they like the way the system works. I personally don't like the way it works. I think we can have a just system. That expression within the statement of purpose of the Constitution that says that its purpose in part is to seek to establish justice is very important. You cannot do that if you're not honest and you look at our judicial situation the way it is and deal honestly with it. We have covered and we'll cover it more in other videos. Who do you think cares more about you? The person who will give you the opportunity, who will work for you to have an opportunity to have a job that you can have pride in your ability to do, and you can take care of your family, you can gain the education that you need, you can become a productive, valuable citizen, helping us all have better lives? Or would you rather have those who give you things, and believe me, I can sit here and I can take things and, it would all be great, but it wouldn't be good for me. Because we have obligations. I've often said that when talking about rights, that you can't have rights without responsibilities. We just covered that in a recent program. And our responsibility is to do our part. The Democrats wouldn't have you do that. They would have you take their money, shut your mouth, vote for them so they can have power. So why would they want Joe Biden to become president? Some people talked about him because of his age. He would probably only serve 1 term. Other people have made comments about whether he's really intellectually or mentally with it anymore. He certainly does some off-the-wall things. But I believe that the Democrats want him because he can be manipulated easily. And as his age builds, it's even more likely with the signs that we've seen that you're going to have a presidency made up of the Democrat Party. And they will pull the strings and he will jump. I believe that. I don't know him personally. He may be a fine man. He seems to have some, I was going to say character, but I don't know about that. But some people like him. Might be a jolly person. Is he the person that you want to serve you? I want you to go back to the fundamentals. I want you to ask yourself, who is the individual who could lead us honorably? I'm running out of time. In fact, I'm probably going a little over. We'll have to cut something out here. But the lesson here is that listen to what is going on and understand that Donald Trump not only was correct he had an obligation to do what he did, and that would benefit Republicans, Democrats, people all over the United States. And would it benefit Donald Trump as well? Yes. But there's no reason that he should not have taken that action, because he has an obligation under the Constitution to do so. I want you to think about that. The Democrats know that, and they chose to work up this phony impeachment, which drastically hurts the people of the United States. You can do something about it. You can contact your legislators. You can actually get together. You can object to this impeachment going through. And the people in the Senate, the Democrats, should join the Republicans, and they should be expressing their anger at what the House of Representatives, the Democrats in the House of Representatives, have done. I've got to run. God bless you all. You know that this is the Detective Dan Devlin Show, so we're searching for the right and just answer. And we're honorable people for an honorable nation, and we want you to be that honorable person and do the right thing, because our posterity, all our descendants until the end of time, are counting on us to do that. And tell your legislator they better halt the destruction of our posterity in the womb. God bless you all. Have a great day.